live. We're live. And we've been gone for a bit, but you won't be able to notice that we've been gone for a bit because we're going to post this a week from the last one that we posted. And not just that. I'm not alone. I'm here with none other than Zachary Newton. Zach, how you doing?
Hey, good. How's it going? It's been quite a while for us to record.
It has been. And just to reintroduce myself, my name is Mario, and I am the other host of the Midnight Exchange. You should know this by now because this will be about episode 6 or 7. And if you're still with us, then somehow you made it so far past all of the rabbit holes of the last episodes. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. You know, speaking of episode numbers, I was just thinking, should we make like seasons out of this stuff, or should we just let it be all episodes?
Man, this is why we get along, because I was literally going to message you the other day and say we should do this in seasons. Definitely.
This is hilarious. This is like the third thing that we've almost told each other that the moment we started talking within today, the other person had already thought of it.
Yeah, man. And we're not going to bring up the other idea of what we discussed, because that is going to be a segment that is coming to you soon to surprise you.
Sometime in the future. A surprising new segment.
And we won't tell you what it's called. Not even if you beg us. But if you do pay us, maybe.
Oh, I don't even know what it's called yet. We haven't come up with a name.
I'll tell you the name off air.
All right, off air. Sounds good.
Okay, so now let me write that down. In seasons. So I have this thing. I don't watch TV shows that have more than 15 episodes per season. I call it the mainstream cable network test. If it has 22 episodes, to me, it's just not a top caliber show. I used to be able to do it, but as I've gotten older, my palate has evolved. Call me bougie. But yeah, man. Google Captions got that one wrong. Bougie.
For those who don't know, we're on a Google Meet right now, and we have the captions turned on. It's kind of cool, new but cool.
And we also do. This is how we record, kind of not through Google Meet, but it's the way we can see each other as we're doing these things. Exactly. Not to go off that tangent into the episode. Zach, what have you been up to lately? What's been taking up your time?
Oh man, I've been slammed with work, trying to get caught up with work. I've actually had to go out of town again, which, I mean, I enjoy going out of town. It's kind of relaxing, but at the same time, you're just really focused on a specific task most of the time, I think. Because you're really only there for one thing. So I've been going out of town, come back, getting caught up on work, trying to work on some personal projects, trying to work on, learning React, React.js, and Flutter and Gatsby all at the same time, which I think I kind of touched on in a previous episode, but that's still kind of a work in progress. And Firebase. And man, I have to tell you, the things I've been seeing from Firebase, it's just incredible.
What is Firebase for a layman's?
And
for the audience, let me say this right now. Zach is the programmer here. I am just as in complete confusion when he speaks about these things as well. Somewhat. I mean, no, absolutely, completely. When he starts going off like the rails, when he starts going off the rails of new technology and programming, it might as well be Chinese. So Zach, what is Firebase?
So Firebase is a tool built by Google, it's just a very incredible tool. So they have built-in things like authentication. So they have different methods for authentication, like anonymous authentication, email, phone, Google Auth, Facebook, all the crazy stuff. Probably Apple soon if they don't already have that. But then they also have their own database and storage, which they call the Firestore, which is a super lightweight and quick synchronized way to store information. And then they also have a separate way to store like files and things like that, which is great. And then everything's served up on Google CDN, so it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. You get it pretty much instantly. But they just had some crazy new releases, which are phenomenal for the. Well, I mean, I guess it's great for the enterprise world too, but in like professional environments and things like that, where you want to test applications and actually send builds out to people, they built their own like application distribution module inside of Firebase, where you can upload your builds, so like an iOS build or an Android build, send out a link to somebody, have them sign up, go through this process to just install the app, which, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's simple when it works, if you know what I mean. So they've got a few kinks to work out of it. I just tried it out today.
So
but when it does work, it's great. You get a lot of
This
data.
is just to store information, to store your private
Well, I
information.
mean, yes and no. I mean, it depends on what you're building, really. I mean, there's so much that you can do with it. Like for instance, the Midnight Exchange web application that I'm working on, the authentication that I showed you already that's being done with Firebase. So when you're logging in with like my email and password that I set up, you're becoming authenticated. And because you're authenticated, I have a private router, which is allowing you to navigate to the private or the off protected pages.
So it's a way to share information privately.
It can be, but you can also keep it open to the public. But I mean, it's a good replacement for what would it be called? I guess like a serverless application or something kind of like that. But it's not really serverless. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But that's kind of the gist of what it is. So I'm in the midst of learning all of that and getting caught up on timesheets and looking at resumes and trying to find some people I might want to hire
to manage that department or
but multiple different things. So right now I'm looking for UI engineer, UX engineer, front end developer, business analyst, and things like that.
All right.
I'm looking to fill a team there. So that's kind of what I've been up to recently, I think. How about you? What you got going on?
Not much, to be honest with you. I haven't done crap the last couple of weeks.
I know, it's like every time I turn around, you're just calling me. I'm bored.
Yeah. That's not right.
No, it's not.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I've been working. I've been working a lot. There's been a lot of projects that have come out of nowhere in the last. Some have come out of nowhere. Others have just been gradual. But then just prepping for events coming up. I've actually been having to do a lot of design and working on coordinating print production and stuff like that for some trade shows coming up for one of my clients.
I heard you're becoming an expert in Illustrator. Somewhat of an expert.
I know my way around. I know my way around Illustrator and InDesign very well now. Not gonna lie. Photoshop to me is still like, it's average. I'm just not a fan compared to Illustrator and InDesign.
Yeah.
Photoshop to me is just like a labyrinth.
Well, I think Photoshop's kind of lost its place almost. It feels like there's really only a few use cases that I ever have where I find myself using Photoshop anymore. It's like, and it's almost the same thing with Illustrator, but Illustrator still has its uses. Like XD, I use for everything almost that I would have used Illustrator for in the past.
And XD for the audience is, what do you use it for?
XD is from Adobe. It's called Experience. Well, it stands for Experience Design.
And Adobe leads they are the market leaders for the most part with this thing they call the Creative Suite, and they offer anything from video production editing to special effects, motion graphics, audio editing, graphic design, pretty much everything within that realm, and even going towards web development, design, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, they've had their hand in a lot. As far as how I use XD,
You don't have to
pretty
go
much
into
any
detail.
way,
Just like
any way that you would have
sparkles.
thought like you would have used Illustrator in the past, vector graphics, things like that, is so much quicker in XD to just put together a composition or something like that, especially when it comes to UI UX design, but any vector art really. But Illustrator always gives you much more in-depth tools, which I do like. And then to replace Photoshop, I mean, we have Lightroom. So we kind of have these two more lightweight applications, which do things quicker, in my opinion. If you really need to get, into the weeds and do some crazy editing,
Well, it's
then I
legal
would go
now,
into those.
so we're good.
Yeah, it is legal now. It's true.
Um,
Anyways, back to
so
you.
what? Yeah, enough about me.
Fine.
Enough about me.
You're kind of
Last week or the week before was the Apple event, right? And
yes,
we're both sort of Apple heads around here, and
yeah.
we wanted to just kind of give a brief run through of the newest, latest, and greatest, what's going on. And Zach has prepared some notes. I have an article open of the bullet points of what took place, and we could just kind of go through these little by little.
I do want to go through them. I took some notes. My favorites are the notes around the Apple Arcade and the Apple TV content.
Okay.
Well,
but
let
me first start with, we'll give the highlights. We'll give what we wanted, and then we'll give what we're a little bit upset about.
Okay. Before we get into it, though, I do have to tell a quick story.
About Apple?
Yes, technically it is. Well, it definitely is. So, and I caved. I got the iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Do you regret it?
Midnight green for the color.
Midnight
by the way.
Dream.
Do
I thought you said midnight cream. I was like, what is that?
No, I said dirty. Midnight green. Dang it, Google. Stop. No, so I got
color.
Let me rephrase what I said.
You got the green one.
Yeah, I ordered the iPhone 11 Pro Max. That is a mouthful, in the midnight green color. And UPS and Apple said it would be here today, and then immediately after they said that, there was like an issue with the UPS API, and I have not had any data until today at like 12 in the afternoon, and it was still in South Korea.
I thought they were bringing everything back to America.
It's still not here. They are actually starting to develop, or is it produce the Mac Pro, the like $30,000 Apple computer in Texas. I think they're going to start making it there.
Can we discuss something really quick?
Yeah.
Space gray looks space gray.
It does.
Midnight green. I guess if midnight green is a color, this would be midnight green. Why is silver white?
Oh, I don't know.
And
it's
why
terrible.
Is gold pink?
I hate they're kind of cool, but they just don't look that good.
I'll tell you my story.
They don't look like a premium.
The last phone I bought was the white one. You can call it silver. I'll call it white.
You got the white one, really?
Last one, remember? I bought it.
And, the 10 or like the one before that?
The XS Max I bought.
Okay.
I bought it in the white. I got tired of it within a day. It was so shiny that I could see my reflection in it. And that's not the reason I turned it in, because I was tired of seeing my reflection. But, when you have everything, in gray and black, it's hard to go back, man. It's hard to go back. It's true. It's true what they say. Anyways, I digress. You don't think you're going to get tired of seeing the midnight green when it gets there? Or was it because of the midnight exchange you were feeling midnighty?
You see, and that was my feeling. I was like, I was thinking about it. Well, all right. So first of all, after the event, which we'll get into in a moment, I was like, I'm not going to spend money on the phone. I'm not going to get it. And then Michaela was actually telling me, Michaela is currently my girlfriend. For those of you who don't know, she was like, well, you got the Apple like upgrade program. Why don't you just get it? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And
if you have the yearly one, you got to do it every year, even if it's literally just a monolith cube that you can't open. Like, you have to get it.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll get it. So then I was sitting there.
You sound like Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'll go.
No. So I was thinking, I'm like, all right, should I get the space gray? I love space gray, and I always get annoyed when I have a different color that's not space gray. And for whatever reason, I was like, no, I'm gonna get the midnight green. Full well knowing that I'm probably gonna be annoyed with it in a month.
Let's see if you pull a Mario move. I made a pact with myself. I said I'm never gonna order an iPhone until I see it in person. Until I see the damn thing in person. I ordered the white one, and I hope I don't pray this upon you, Zach. I would pray it upon my worst enemy, maybe. But I'll say this: look, man, I have an over/under number in my head of amount of money that thinks that you're going to return to an Apple store within a month to return your green for the space gray.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I might end up doing that. I might just tough it out and wait for the next one though. I just had to give it another try. It was so here's the only reason I went for the new color. A, it's a new color, and B, it's the only new color that
cool.
was so close to the space gray that it actually had me questioning if I should get the space gray or not.
I'm not gonna lie, I had that same thought. I had that same thought about the midnight green.
That's my concern.
I don't know. I'm sticking with the XS Max for now. We'll see if I change my mind. I hold the privilege of changing my mind. Okay, now let's get to some of these events. What actually happened?
All right. So do you want to go?
No, you please lead the way. But keep it brief on the point.
I will have some. Yeah, it's kind of long. I have some lovely notes here. To start off the Apple event, we have the Apple Arcade. Before we get into those points, have you heard anything about the Apple Arcade before?
Cell phone games. It's a streaming platform for cell phone games.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. So they showed off some like Frogger and Toy Town game, which, I mean, if you like Frogger, I guess it's...
Frogger would be a good phone game. I'm not going to lie. It would be a fun...
Do you really want to pay that like money per month just to play that game?
I don't like Frogger that much. I would just buy the game for $20.
My point, I would rather buy any game on the Apple Store for a finite amount of money than pay a subscription fee. It's just not worth it.
The thing is, I just don't play phone games.
Me neither.
And also I'd probably play more. The only phone game I ever played a lot of was the Fallout Shelter one. Mm-hmm. And that one was fun because you're literally managing like a little post-apocalyptic vault, and you're building it up and you're investing in different places, and you literally have to procreate. Like you have to matchmake your peeps so you can advance the human race, and you send out your best fighters into the wasteland and all that stuff. It was fun.
So that sounds pretty good.
But all of these like pay to play type games and all that kind of stuff, it's just so annoying. That I would just want like a really good game that it's pretty much a resource management game where you have like a business or a town or I don't know, something like that. I feel like that's a good phone game right there.
Yeah, it could be. But I don't play games on the phone that much, but I will admit I did have the Asphalt 8 or 9 racing game on there, and I connected my PS4 controller to my phone, and I did a couple. Yeah, now with a new operating system, iOS 13, you can connect Xbox controllers, PS4 controllers to your iPhone, to your iPad. I think you'll be able to connect it to your actual computer as well in the near future. And so anyways, I connected it, and I had a couple races, and it was fun. And then I deleted the game because I don't play games. Anyways, other than that, there was just a couple other games, some underwater thing. And then my note actually just says more stupid games because I really wasn't amused by it.
I do play games. I just don't play games on my phone. So I'm all about the video games, but it's just got to be one that makes sense for a phone. I just don't see myself doing that. If I'm going to play, I'm just going to turn on the PlayStation 4 and
Exactly.
and do that. So, but then again, think about this. It's not just about us. There are little kids out there that are growing up on this, and their main experience growing up, what they will fall in love with will be iPad games, probably iPad games, because parents will probably like withhold phones from their kids until they're teenagers. So iPad games is what they'll fall in love with. So our Sega Genesis, or if you are of my generation, you would have played the Sega Genesis first, probably, or Super Nintendo. They're going to fall in love with the iPad. And then, so I wonder what they're going to like growing up older. Probably PC, but it'll probably be a just different level of VR and stuff like that. So aside from that, any other notes on the arcade?
No, I mean, that was really about it. The first couple of points,
what's next?
I wasn't too happy with.
You weren't happy with what? I can't hear you now. What the hell? Does it keep turning off my mic?
Yeah, it does. Do you still have your captions on?
Yeah, I think it's turning off my mic through some sort of audio thing I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's just.
I'm turning off these captions.
Yeah, turn it off. I turned mine off.
Google is creepy. We keep this in the podcast because we need this on the record.
All right.
Google's auto turning off our mics.
Well, they are. Don't they have like there's espionage charges against them already? Google. I think that's what I heard today. They're trying to mess with the election and the searches and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that's a hands down thing they're doing. But all of them do it. Facebook, Twitter, and Google do it.
Oh, they all do it. They all have there's all like espionage charges against all of them. Facebook, Google, a few others. I just don't know who they are.
All those platforms are straight up cancer to talk about politics on.
It's very true.
I wasn't even talking about politics today. I was talking about the Lakers and the Clippers. I was debating that the Clippers starting five was better than the Lakers starting five, and I had just a bunch of Lakers little fanboys coming at me from every single direction. They're like, maybe Patrick Beverley sucks, and I was like, responding with Kawhi Leonard laughing memes and.
Be the bigger person, man.
Don't come at me, bro. Don't come at me. You don't know nothing about basketball. All right. Okay. So I was asking what's next on the list before Google rudely spied on us to make us
come on.
vote
You're making us mad. We weren't going to say anything about the espionage, but now we did.
Now your mic turned off again. And now my AirPod's connected.
I swear, is it going to mute? It just muted you again.
We're going to have to end this call and start a new one. Google is spying on you, dude.
That's crazy. All right. Let's end this call, and I'll start a new one, and I'll shoot you
pause this podcast
a message. All righty. Yo.
And we're back.
Yeah, and you sound better too.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's continue. I asked you what's next. What else did Apple talk about next?
Yes. So next is the Apple TV Plus. And before I read my very descriptive note on Apple TV Plus, did you watch the keynote?
No, I didn't watch jack squat.
Okay. So my note for Apple TV Plus.
Actually, I think I did.
As follows.
I think I did.
All right. It's as follows. It says, new content, blah. That's it. I was not happy at all with the new content that I saw in there, the stuff that they're trying to make and put out. Have you seen any of it?
Their TV content?
The Apple TV Plus stuff, like the movies, the TV shows.
This is my domain. So I like the one with, what is that actor's name? He's in The Killing. There's an old show on, not old. I'm not that old. The Killing on AMC. He's the detective Holden. And he's the guy who goes against Frank Underwood in House of Cards in the presidential race. What's this actor's name?
Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman. Okay, great actor. Okay. I thought he was a typecast guy, but turns out he's not, even though he still kind of plays that same kind of guy. Anyways, that show looks great. with him. The Jason Momoa one, it's to be determined whether Jason Momoa can carry a show. But I think it's going to go the direction of Vikings, just from the trailer. It'll be like one of those shows where Jason Momoa is saving his kid who has eyes, who can see in this world where everyone's blind, which I hope is not like a forced metaphor for the political climate of the world. Just get that out of my face.
It probably will be, though.
Whatever. Anyways, I like Jason Momoa. But what I will say, that show, it has a lot of potential. Apple has the money to fund it and make it great. But it's all about how a show can carry conflict forward and have subplots developing while the main plot is really interesting. And every great show has that sort of dynamic. And so if it can be I'd say if it can be a 5-season show, that would be a success.
Okay.
Go the Vikings route. Let the kid grow up, save him, and then do a time leap at the end. And after season 2, do a time leap. Kid's a kid, like he's like a walking kid in season 2, and then season 3 he's a man or a woman. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, like baby. Anyways,
isn't that that Viking show the one where they're like all blind or something?
No, not at all, sir. The Apple show is where they're all blind.
Yeah, the Apple show. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
This is going to be the great streaming war of the 2020s, where every single major company tries to just consume us with content. It's a great time to be a filmmaker, to be a writer, to be a content creator. Yeah, because dude, Netflix just paid $500 million or $1 billion for Seinfeld. Let me pull up the numbers here.
Who knows? All I know is Netflix, man, was putting out money on top of money for original content. They were, I think, for like a couple years, they were spending more money on making content than they were making at all, just because they knew what was going to happen the next few years. And I mean, now you've got Disney coming on board, you've got Apple coming on, everybody, man, everyone and their mother. They
said they paid far more than $500 million to get Seinfeld. It's all going to be about who has the most shows that people are willing to pay for. And so Apple's coming in, they're like, hey, middle fingers in the air, $5 a month, y'all. $5 a month, because our content's going to be straight up limited for the first 2 years while we start onboarding artists. Meanwhile, Amazon low key hiring everybody under the sun. I'm waiting to see like Matthew Weiner, who made Mad Men, is with Amazon.
Is he really?
Yes, he is. I think Apple or Disney, somebody offered, what's his face? J.J. Abrams. They offered him $1 billion.
We were talking about that before.
Yeah, they offered him $1 billion. Who was it? Apple?
Yeah, I think you said it was Apple.
Okay, they offered him $1 billion. I could be wrong on this. Fact check me, Twitter people.
They'll let us know.
They'll let us know. He turned it down. And the wisest thing he ever did, because people like J.J. Abrams are going to be priceless. Freaking, he's a showrunner. Like, the guy can do it from A to Z. So I'm ready.
Yes.
But what are you going to keep? What are you going to keep? Are you going to get Apple TV? I guess.
Oh, man. So here's the thing. I was very disappointed with the shows and the movies that they pitched that was going to be on the platform already. So I know the content's going to be very limited. I mean, it's just launching. They're trying to get a few big name people. So I mean, yeah, they're trying. But the one thing I will give it credit for is the way that they're trying to onboard people. It was just genius. If you buy like any device from Apple within this year, I think it is, you get Apple TV free for an entire year.
Hey, so why would you just bought the phone?
Why would you keep everything? You got
to give me your password for that.
I'm wondering though if I'll get Apple TV Plus. I don't know, because did I really buy the phone or am I just renting the phone?
It depends if Apple wants to be a D-bag.
I mean, I'm paying them for the phone, so you would think I would get Apple TV Plus for it. But
let me ask you a question. On this Turn in the Phone program, the yearly one.
Yeah.
How much money did you have to pay to get the new phone?
Nothing.
Nothing. Right?
The only thing I had to pay was not even to Apple. It was just to, I think it was just to AT&T, just to switch the the plan over to a different phone. That was really it.
But you still do AT&T, or are you strictly with Apple?
So I don't pay AT&T for any of my hardware, period. I only pay AT&T for the service. I pay Apple for the device itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that next year.
Dude, it's so worth it because I know you're not ever going to take advantage of it based off of our conversation earlier in the podcast.
No.
You can upgrade early. Like you get a free up. Like, look, they send me this. I already got this, which I was kind of aggravated about. This box that you're seeing. For those who can't see, I'm holding a box up to the camera right now. This box is the return box for the current phone I have. When I get the replacement phone that I don't have yet.
Yes.
So. Thanks, Apple. So it's very easy. You just pay whatever the monthly is for the phone itself when the new one comes out. If you're eligible for the upgrade, which just means you made 12 payments, you just say, hey, let me order that one. They send it to you. You make the payment on that phone. You get a box. You put your old phone in it. And that's kind of it. And then I did do the update once last year. I went from the 10 to the 10S Max. And it was very seamless, just transferring everything over. It only took
4 days,
a few minutes.
Oh.
No, it only took a few minutes to transfer everything over, to get the cell plan switched over. It was super straightforward. The only thing that took a little bit of time was just reinstalling the apps, but
it did it again.
That wasn't even that bad.
Hold on, stop talking. These AirPods keep randomly connecting. How do I? Why? It's in the case. It's literally in the case. I got Apple.
All right. You cut off.
Of course I did. Of course I cut off. This is phenomenal. This is just straight up phenomenal.
Bro, I think it was your AirPods going crazy or something then.
My AirPods are in the case, fam. They're in the case,
but closed. I was still hearing you. Like, it sounded like I was hearing you through the case.
That is very terrifying.
That's nuts, like a genie. That's creepy.
It's like a genie lamp. It's alive.
Google knows we're not happy with them right now. They're just trying to sabotage everything. I don't think we've had any problems like this before.
All right, moving on. What's the next thing Apple talked about?
So the next thing was the iPad. Very
boring.
It was very boring. It's just a super cheap iPad. They just made the display a little bigger, added a little more pixels. It uses the new iPad OS, which you're gonna have, which has
that's cool
multitasking stuff. I mean, it's convenient that they're giving it. They're empowering it with the better. Granted, there's not too much different with the OS yet. It's getting there, but it has support for the Apple Pencil. And so here's the good thing, because this is more geared towards students. Again, it's the more budget iPad. It starts at $329. For education with the discount, it starts at $299. It has the smart connector and it has support for the Apple Pencil. So if you're like a student in class, you can get the little keyboard for it for really cheap. Just connect it right there with the smart connector. Then you can write all your notes with an iPad. You can draw, sketch, whatever you need.
That is dope.
That's nice. Yeah.
I remember when we were kids, we just had those really cool, the iMacs that made iMacs popular, which was those different colored computers. Oh my God. I just enjoyed using those things so much when I was a kid.
You see, I had this thing. It was interesting. It had a pencil too, but it was paper. So that's what I took notes on.
Today I wrote 20 things down on 24 things down on a piece of paper, and my hand hurt after 14. I don't write anymore. Like, I don't literally pick up a pencil anymore. Did the mic cut off? No way. The mic cut off? What are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing. It cut off.
Yeah, maybe it's your bandwidth. Cut your video feed off.
Why don't you try my bandwidth, fam?
Well, I hear you now.
It has nothing to do with that. My internet's faster than yours.
Yeah, right.
It is. It really is. Anyways,
I'm running like 160 down.
it's too slow. That's slow. That's like freaking prehistoric compared to mine. Not even kidding. Anyways, I forgot what I was saying. I was saying I wrote 20 things down on a piece of paper. My hands started to hurt after 14 of them because I don't pick up a pencil anymore. I only type. How did these old novelists write 700-page books, and then they're editing their book by going through their chicken scratch of 700 pages? You imagine that? I would be like Hemingway too. I'd be writing at the bar. I would need to be absolutely drunk to be having to write 700 pages on paper. That sounds ridiculous.
Drinking hand.
That sounds ridiculous. No, look, it's not that serious, but I just can't imagine, because when I sit down to write a story, I reread everything from the beginning. Hemingway would read his entire book from the beginning before he would start again. That's bananas. That is legitimately crazy. To have to read, if let's say he's on page, I have Farewell to Arms, or I have For Whom the Bell Tolls right here.
Okay. How many pages is this?
I love buying those books from used bookstores, and they have like cigarette smells on them. Like you can smell like the last person who, like, you could just picture this old dude just smoking cigarettes.
Smoking a fat cigar.
Yeah, my Farewell to Arms book was like that. I think I swear to you, I got like lung issues from reading Farewell to Arms because I bought the book. 507 pages. Okay. So every time this man would pick up his pen, he would reread it. By the time he's done, he's reread the book 100 times. It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Anyways, moving on. What's next on the Apple thing? Let's sum it up. Let's move. Let's rapid fire. What's next?
We're almost. I mean, we're getting through it.
Let's just do.
We got two main items left.
Let's bullet point them, and then
we got the Apple Watch. The main updates we have here is like the Apple Heart study, which
you got 20 seconds.
They already had. So you had the hearing study per main item here. Okay, so you have the new hearing study, the women's health study, and then the Apple Heart and Movement study. What else? They've got a new always on display that I do like, which is using. I've been wanting to say this the whole time. It's using a low temperature polycrystalline oxide display, LTPO. And okay, so first of all, I think the technology in this display is more impressive than
it's more impressive than
watch right now
than my Apple Watch that dies in 10 hours.
Yeah, and just the rest of the watch. Like the display itself can literally reduce or it can change the hertz that it runs at anywhere between 60 to 1, which is incredible. So that's what they're going to use to allow the always on display.
What does that mean?
And not murder the refresh rate, basically.
60 to 1.
Think of it like a refresh rate. Yeah. I mean, 60, you can go from 60 hertz all the way down to 1 hertz.
Got it. So the thing I was looking for on this watch, that thing you told me about, if these watches can ever do that, that would be sick.
That's what I was looking for. And that's why I'm waiting.
Zach introduced me to this study that Tim Apple has been working on for years. I think you said it was a Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs actually initiated the research. That's what everything that I've researched and found has said. And
this research is that eventually these Apple Watches, through this technology, probably through more advanced technology, will be able to monitor your blood sugar throughout the day. Your blood sugar levels. That is revolutionary. I can't imagine that kind of technology isn't being fought against by like major pharmaceutical companies.
Dude, I'm sure it would be, because pharmaceutical companies are crazy. I mean, let's be real. You had that's a whole nother podcast. But that's something that'll be over. That's gonna be that'll be season 7.
Oof, man, I can't wait for that whole episode on pharmaceutical companies. Dude, I mean, you know what though? That would be a nice segment if we did do like a it's a task, like not a task, it's an assignment. Like, we each have like mini docs, audio docs, where we do research on a subject and we write an essay on it. I like that. We'll do it.
That's interesting. Give us
We'll
some homework.
I'm gonna write it down.
It'll make us actually do something that we do on our own time.
All right, what's next after the Apple Watch?
Okay, so after the Apple Watch, we have the iPhone 11, which they introduced, and then afterwards they introduced the iPhone 11
S
Pro
Max.
and Pro Max. It's not S, it's just Pro. So they're changing their naming again.
What do you think those meetings go like when they're like, last year's the XS Max and this one's like, this one's just gonna be the 11 Pro Plus Max?
I don't know.
Max Plus, that's what it's
see
called,
what they're
right?
doing. The what?
What is it called? The 11?
11 Pro Max is the most expensive, luxurious new iPhone that's come out.
Yeah.
It's very interesting what they've been doing with the naming. I think the last iPhone had the weirdest naming scheme I could think of.
XS Max?
Yeah, exactly. The phone that almost sounds like it's telling you it's too much.
Yeah, right. XS.
Exactly. And then,
it's
but I see what they're doing now, and I like what they're doing now with this big split between the Pro line and the non-Pro line. It makes it feel like the cheaper version of the phone that you're getting is not a cheaper version of the phone. It just makes it feel like it's the base model. What'd you do?
Nothing.
Did you just break your phone?
Nope.
You liar! You cracked your screen.
No, of course not. This is surgical grade glass.
Did you just crack your screen?
No, I kind of like peeled a portion of my cover off.
No.
It's very difficult to take this case off.
Oh, you got the leather one? That's how I had to.
Man.
I love it. Yeah. So no, I mean, I like what they're doing with the name now. I hope they stick with it because it feels more like a solid naming scheme.
How do you not get the Pro? You know what I mean?
Well,
it's offensive.
If you
almost.
don't have the budget though, but that's the thing though.
But that's the
way
offensive
that they did
part
the
about
naming.
it. It's kind of like, for me, it's like, oh, you're saying I'm not a pro? It's like, I was a salesperson, that'd be the easiest sale ever. I would say, well, they'd be like, hey, Mario, what do you got here? What's new on the phone docket? Let me see him. Oh, well, John, hey, we got the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11R. It's a lot of colorways. It's great. And then we have the iPhone 11 Pro. Oh man, that one sounds good. Yeah, that one's really good. Oh yeah, it's great. It has a triple camera. It's phenomenal. And then we have the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but you probably wouldn't be interested in that, John. That's not for you. Whoa, what do you mean about that? I'm not interested in the Pro. What are you saying? No, John, it's just not for everybody. See, it's for people who are professionals, and I'm not a professional. What are you talking about? I'm not a professional. Not easiest sale of life.
It's like you're trying the buyer here.
It's very passive aggressive. It's a very passive aggressive sales style.
Anyways, to touch on your story, the R is what they removed. I mean, it's no longer like the iPhone 11R, which makes it feel like the phone you're getting is not just a cheaper phone, which I like. But anyways, to touch on
the 11 Pro is the cheap version?
No. You have the iPhone 11, which is the cheap one. You have the iPhone 11 Pro, which is the small version of the more expensive one. And then you have the iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Let me ask you a question.
Night green.
Didn't Apple release like a semi-racial commercial promoting the iPhone 11R? Not the 11R, the
10R.
Whatever that thing is called, the 10R, whatever it's called.
XR, 10R,
XR,
something.
Never mind. I'm going down a road.
They may have. I don't know.
I'm just kidding. It's getting late. It's the Midnight Exchange. It's about to be the Midnight Exchange, literally.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up shortly.
And we haven't even touched our major subject of the day.
Crap.
Wrap this up. Wrap up this apple.
I'm wrapping. All right. So you got stronger glass black back blah whatever. Triple lens. Yeah. Okay. New color. One. Really. The screen here. Okay, so the screen again, I like the screen. It's the same sort of screen that they're using in their XDR screen, which is it costs like $5,000 for a monitor.
You can get it in a night fight, and your phone will be safe.
P3 wide color, 2 million to 1.
I don't know what that means.
It's got
It
Dolby
looks
Vision.
really nice. They should have someone up there like that. They're doing like the really technical stuff. They're like, it has 2 trillion. You see like his nerdy Tim Apple up there, and he's like, he's nerdy 2 trillion color dots per square inch. And then it's just like, and you, Cletus, it looks really pretty. Like the colors are great. They're really nice. They're neat. And then he keeps on going. He's like, the refresh rate on the watch is 60 hertz per second. Cletus, the watch doesn't turn off. I'm done. I get it. It's getting ridiculous. Is that offensive? Great. I don't know, Cletus.
I don't know. We'll figure it out in editing. Anyways, the only other thing on here that I thought was really interesting, aside from the Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos and everything, is the like a A13 Bionic chip that they have on it. It is the transistors are 7 nanometers, and it literally has, so your phone has over 8.5 billion transistors on it. Just think about how tiny those things have to be.
How powerful is that?
I could not tell you. I just think it's cool.
It's really, really strong. You can go to the moon and back 3 times.
That's like 700 times. All right. Anyways, let's talk about the thing that we were going to talk about, because we were starting to talk about it.
Okay. The big setup.
Big pivot right here.
The big conversation we were going to have today, and it didn't start big. It was supposed to be just like a one-off, but it turned out this is actually a thing. This is actually a movement. That's not a movement. It's just a convenient way to do a thing that you love. And this thing that I have fallen in love with, and I'm late to the parade, is the audiobook. The audiobooks. They're podcasts for books. And I actually have listened to an audiobook before, but I've always been a cynic. I've always been like, it's not really reading. These people who say that I read that book. It's like, oh, really? Oh,
it's like,
cool.
No, you didn't.
Copy. Oh, no, it was an audiobook. I'm like, oh, you didn't read the book then. But wait.
See, that's where I come from.
That's where I come from as well. I have a whole library and more of books that I haven't touched. But if I were to take the audiobook approach, I probably would have read most of them. Why? Because it's a podcast for books. And I spend a lot of my time working, listening to a podcast very low in the background. I will say it's not necessarily meant for that if you're reading a book that is deep. And the book that I did start off with was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I had been hearing a lot about Gladwell all over the internet and then over through respected people that I listen to, specifically actually basketball reporters.
Okay.
There's a basketball coach, the coach of the Clippers, named Doc Rivers, and he's a big Malcolm Gladwell guy. And so he mentioned it in a podcast, and I was like, man, it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I had already heard of Gladwell so often, and he had popped up on my Amazon suggested read feed. Mm-hmm. Outliers actually popped up, and I read the description, and I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. And it's one of those books that you get like a theory or an idea. And he presents you the idea. And the idea is outliers. And he's essentially talking about how a lot of successful people have outliers in their lives that allowed them to be successful. And so he breaks down different things. And he talks about hockey players. The majority of hockey players are born in 2 months. I think it's September and October.
Oh, you mean like 2 months out of the year?
2 months out of the year, specific 2 months. And it has something to do with the age of which you make the cut on a certain league. It makes like all the difference in the world as to what your development as a hockey player looks like. Then he goes down and talks about Bill Gates, and he talks about all of the tech gurus, like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and the Steve Ballmers. Steve Ballmer? Yeah, Steve Ballmer. And I'm talking a lot about the Clippers, man. I keep on bringing up the Clippers. I keep on bringing up Clippers.
Second time of the night.
No, third. Anyways, third. I mentioned him earlier on about the Lakers argument, but
yeah.
Ballmer, Paul Allen, all these people were born in a certain era that would have been the perfect era to get involved into programming and all that kind of stuff, because you're the first in the market. Essentially, you're the first person early on doing it. And so, wow, the folder finally shared.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he talks about Bill Gates. He talks about that Bill Gates went to a high school that would have been the only high school in the world at that time, possibly, that offered a programming class to ninth graders. And so that gave Bill Gates the opportunity to fall in love with coding in ninth grade, so that he, by the time he got to college, he had 10,000 hours of coding under his belt, programming under his belt. He would literally he would actually sneak out of his house because the library would kick him out. And he would ride his bike to, I think, Washington University. And pretty much, I think he like hacked the computers there to use the computer lab all night over there. So they're just talking about him like that. They're talking about, why are Asians better than most other cultures at math? And he broke down, talked about rice paddy farmers and the cultural way, the approach they take to rice farming. He talked about that their language is more succinct when they say numbers. It takes us, if you add up to 100 in English or you do it in Mandarin, it's a lot faster, or it's at least significantly faster, so that a kid growing up can count to a higher number quicker. They can process numbers more quickly. They also talk about the way that they explain math. So the way we say, the way we express fractions, it's confusing. We say 3/5. They say out of 5 parts, take 3. You know, there's different ways that they go about it. And so now you're seeing an uprising in schools in America that are trying to adjust our approach in mathematics. And they're called KIPP schools. I think there's something like that. Anyways, the book is really interesting. And I disagree with him on some parts, and because there's a lot of people who have the same circumstances. He talks about sports athletes, and I think sports athletes are the ones that come to mind a lot. You can have an outlier, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately a decision a person has to make as to what they're going to do and how they're going to use the resources. And you want to call it an outlier, I'll call it divine coordinating, divine opportunities, because you can have an athlete whose father is a superstar basketball athlete, and this kid is going to have all of the tools and the perfect mentor, essentially from a basketball perspective, at his advantage. And time again, just because you have the resources available to you doesn't mean you turn out to be the next LeBron James or Michael Jordan. The outliers are people like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, people who grew up with fathers who were great at basketball. And they took it to a different level because of the tools and the different opportunities they had available to them. So anyways, the book is great. And then it kind of just changed my mind about audiobooks, because that book is over 300 pages and I listened to it in 2 days.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, just at night, man.
How much time though?
I mean,
within those 2 or 3 days,
I had a significant amount of time to listen while I worked, and I had to drive a lot those 2 days.
It's amazing how much content you can consume in an audio format like that. Like 300 plus pages.
I'll tell you how long it is. Let me see.
While you're looking that up, I mean, that's been my thing. I had this thought last night actually about if I should get into audiobooks, because I had the same opinion. I'm like, I have these. First of all, I have hardcover books that I have bought that I've been meaning to read. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th one, which I'm halfway through right now. That's on my list, and I'm just like, every single day I have less and less time to read and sit down, and I feel like I'm betraying the book if I don't sit down and read it. So it's interesting to hear your experience.
It is. No, where does it tell you the duration of the book? Oh, okay, it's 7 hours and 18 minutes. So over 3 days. It wasn't 2 days. It was a Friday night It was a Saturday and it was a Sunday, and I finished it on Sunday.
But that's not bad, man. I mean, you're talking about spending less than 8 hours. That's less than a typical work day just listening to a book, and you got through a whole dang book.
It's phenomenal.
How is that possible? If you sat there and read that, I would take much longer to read, but I kind of read slow sometimes to make sure I'm getting everything. How was your retention of the information, though? That's my biggest concern.
Phenomenal. Surprisingly phenomenal. Now, I will say this. I was not able to listen to it working. A book like that, I'd say any book, I could not concentrate and multitask. I couldn't. Now, if it's a book that, for example, if it's a book, I feel like you could train yourself to process information better while multitasking. If I was listening to that book, I would mute whatever else I was doing. And so I would comprehend it better. So I was multitasking half the time when I was listening to it, but I feel like my processing of the information was pretty excellent, as far as much better than I thought it would have been. And so from there, I made a second purchase.
Okay.
I got the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. And those are a little bit darker and not significantly way more dark. Anyways,
I can imagine.
But no, it was like $3. I was like, how can I resist? Let me do this. So yeah.
What do you use for your audiobooks?
I use Apple, the Apple Store.
Oh, you do? Okay,
yeah.
So you get. Okay, so I don't know much about the audiobooks at all. I just know they exist, and I've had this stigma against them. So I'm trying to figure out if I should get into it. So if you get the audiobook, do you only have audio you can listen to, or can you also read along with it?
No, you cannot read along. You have to buy it separate.
Dang it. See, that's the thing. If I would love to have an audiobook, I say that's the thing, but it's not the thing. I would love to have an audiobook that if I wanted to, I could just go back and read a portion of it. That would be so convenient.
You make some good money. You buy 2 copies. You buy an audiobook version. You buy I'm close to buying 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson on audiobook form. And I own the hard copy, and I'm about to buy an audiobook because it's a long book and it sounds like a really good audiobook read. I've already listened to the lectures. And I have this giant book that somebody beautifully gave me, called the Gulag Archipelago. And that is like a literary beast. And it judges me every day. It judges me every day from my bookshelf. And books like that make me want to read the actual copy and not the audiobook.
Okay. I feel you.
It's weird.
So do you suggest I or anyone listening tries an audiobook?
Absolutely not. They're terrible for you, and absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Why not? But you know what? Maybe Audible makes sense if you get to keep those books after you end your Audible subscription. But the thing is, Audible gives you credits. Damn, that does make sense. We're not sponsored by Audible, by the way.
No, but definitely not. Many people are, but we are not.
Well, we are not one of those people. Audible gives you credits every month, so you can get like 2 books a month, which is great. I think that's a good pace too for audiobooks.
Dang, it's a $15 a month subscription.
You got to use it, fam. You need to use it.
You really got to use it. Free membership. Okay, you get 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals. Interesting.
The problem with it is really, are you going to listen to it that much? I have podcasts that I love to listen to. And so like that means if I'm not properly using my Audible subscription unless I am listening to 2 books a month.
At least, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to agree. I don't know. I'll have to do a little research on that. I might try the Apple audiobook or something like that.
I think I'd rather just buy them.
I want the hardcovers, but I like I said, I don't have enough time to read it anymore right now. So I'll have to look into that. I might look into the Audible a little bit more and see how that is. But the other thing that I've heard about that I'm very interested in, and I mean you can look this up as well. I think this is the version. There's a new Kindle out, and so this is like the Kindle. Well, I don't even know what this one's called. What
Post
is
it
it
in
called?
the chat so I can click it.
Let me see if I can find the actual name real quick. Let's see.
Side note, I am so hyped for this NBA season. It starts this week. Oh my God. Today was media day. I'm so ready, bro.
Media Day?
Today was media day. That's where they do all the media interviews before the season.
Got you.
I'm a Heat lifer for those of you who Miami Heat diehard.
A Heat lifer.
For the audience. If you want to send me any Miami Heat goodies, merch.
Alrighty.
I'm all about that life.
All right, I just found the link here, so I just posted that in the Google Meet. But now this thing, it looks really, really cool. It's called the Kindle Oasis, and so I wonder if this will help me with the hardcover book issue, because I like it's convenient having it on your phone with like Apple Books and all that stuff, but I like having a dedicated device, whether that actually be physical paper or something else, to read a book on. But this thing is pretty neat. I mean, you can customize the screen. The screen starts to go warm at night, so kind of like your phone does. So if you're up reading, you don't have a bright light in your face. It's IPX8 rated, so you got 2 meters of water for 60 minutes.
I just don't see myself I read one book on a tablet. I read Police by Joe Nesbo, or Yo Nesbo, however you pronounce it. Excellent. Freaking phenomenal book. If you're into that genre. It's a detective. It's crazy. It's like the only thing I've ever read in that genre, but it was really good. Like the first book that ever made me scared to turn the page of what was going to happen next. Like that I actually had like anxiety about what was going to happen. It was crazy. Anyways, yeah, no, I'm not about this Kindle life. To me, I would just rather have my phone and listen to an audiobook. And if I want to read a hard copy, I buy a hard copy.
Yeah. But, see, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I mean, I've got the iPad, so I could just use the iPad.
Yeah, I would just use the iPad.
But it does also allow you to have audiobooks on here as well with Audible. So we'll see. We'll see.
But why add another? Do you have an iPad or no?
I have the iPad Pro.
I wouldn't go. First of all, I don't know. It depends. If I'm on a plane, if I'm traveling, yeah, I don't want to take a million things. Great. But something about turning a page, if you're going to read it like that, I don't know. I'm not against it. I wouldn't spend the money on it. Personally.
It has its place. I don't know if its place is in my home.
The only way I would buy this thing is if Kindle Unlimited was free, like forever.
That's a good point.
But it's not. It's 3 months free, which of course makes sense because the business would drown if it was free forever. You couldn't pay the authors with that.
Yeah, I mean it's not that cheap either. It's starting at like $280. You could spend a couple extra bucks and just get the new iPad.
I do like that you could take this thing in the tub. You can literally take a bath and read this thing.
Yeah, that's we got a promotional photo here with a woman in a bubble bath. Great. All right. Well, I think that wraps up
this episode.
My thoughts here. I'm gonna make that a goal. I'm gonna try an audiobook. You know what? I'm gonna try an audiobook this week. I'm gonna make that a requirement.
Listen to Outliers. You'll like it.
Outliers. All right, let me write that down.
It's not bad. I would read it.
Listen to Outliers. Got it. All right.
All right. I think that wraps it up. Thank you for joining us. As always, you can find our information in the podcast info, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next week, what's the Midnight Exchange? Oh, my bad. You're gonna tag all our stuff.
We gotta tag our stuff. We gotta tag our stuff. It was the Midnight Exchange though. Yeah. You can find us on Twitter at THEME Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Midnight Exchange, and you can find us on the internet at themidnightexchange.com.
And also, this was, and will continue to be The Midnight Exchange. Good night, everybody.
Good night.